Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The most dangerous people are the ones who keep their mouths shut and their plans moving. Society has always feared the loudest voices in the room, the alphas, the dominators, the ones who make their presence impossible to ignore. But history proves otherwise. The most formidable threats aren't the ones barking orders or demanding attention, they are the ones watching, calculating, waiting. Take this for a fact. Some of history's most powerful figures operated from the shadows, unseen until it was too late. From master strategists to elusive billionaires, the real game changers were never the ones fighting for the spotlight. They were the ones pulling the strings from the dark. Now, meet the Sigma male, the ghost in a world obsessed with visibility. He doesn't just reject society's rules, he studies them, bends them, and rewrites the script while everyone else is busy playing their roles. He's the man who vanishes without a trace, reappears when least expected, and executes his plans with a patience that sends shivers down the spines of even the most powerful. And that's what makes him dangerous. Not his strength, not his arrogance, but his silence. Because if an alpha wants to rule the world, a Sigma will simply walk past him, steal the blueprint, and disappear before anyone realizes what happened. So, if you think Sigma males are just lone wolves minding their own business, think again. They might be more dangerous than you ever imagined. Number 1. They are the last people you'd expect to be ruthless. People often assume danger comes with a warning, a loud presence, an aggressive stance, a show of power. But the most dangerous threats are the ones you never see coming. Sigma males are overlooked, dismissed, and underestimated because they don't fit the usual mold of a dominant force. They don't seek attention, they don't flex their power, and they don't waste energy proving themselves. That's exactly what makes them so dangerous. Most people expect ruthlessness to come with a certain personality. Loud, aggressive, openly threat, no second thoughts. By the time people realize they were dealing with someone far more calculating than they assumed, it's too late. The damage is done, the Sigma is already gone, and all that's left is the realization that they never saw it coming. Number 2, they can operate as both a leader and a lone wolf. Leadership is often seen as a fixed role. You're either in charge or you're not. But Sigma males don't follow that rule. They aren't bound by titles, hierarchies, or the need to constantly assert dominance. Instead, they adapt. When a situation calls for leadership, they step up effortlessly, commanding respect without demanding it. But the moment leadership becomes a burden or no longer serves their purpose, they vanish just as easily, leaving no loose ends behind. Unlike alphas, who thrive on being at the center of attention, Sigmas lead when they want to, not because they need to. They don't crave control over others, but they know how to take charge when necessary. Their leadership isn't based on authority, it's based on intelligence, strategy, and the ability to see the bigger picture while others are still caught up in the small details. This ability makes them unpredictable. They might be the mastermind behind a project, guiding others with quiet precision, then disappear the moment the job is done, leaving people wondering how they manage to lead without ever demanding a following. Unlike betas, who need direction, and alphas, who constantly seek validation through dominance, Sigmas are completely self-sufficient. They can build something alone, lead an entire team, or walk away without hesitation. That's what makes them dangerous. You never know when they're watching, when they'll take control, or when they'll decide to disappear without a trace. While others are stuck in their roles, alpha, beta, follower, leader, a Sigma male moves between them like a ghost, playing whatever part benefits him the most before walking away without a second thought. Number 3, they do not fear loss, which makes them dangerous opponents. Fear of loss controls most people. It keeps them obedient, cautious, and predictable. The threat of losing status, relationships, money, or comfort makes people hesitate, second-guess, and submit when pressured. But Sigma males don't operate that way. They've already accepted that loss is inevitable, which makes them immune to the fear that paralyzes everyone else. That's what makes them so dangerous. Most people fight desperately to hold on to what they have, whether it's power, reputation, or a sense of belonging. Sigmas, on the other hand, see loss as a temporary inconvenience, not a life-defining event. If they lose money, they'll make more. If they lose status, they'll rebuild. If they lose people, they'll walk away without a backward glance. This makes them impossible to manipulate because you can't control someone who isn't afraid to lose everything. While others hesitate because they're scared of failure, Sigmas take risks most wouldn't dare. They aren't reckless, they're strategic. They calculate their moves without emotional attachment, understanding that sometimes destruction is just part of the process of rebuilding something stronger. And because they don't panic in the face of loss, they always have the upper hand over opponents who are desperately clinging to security. This mindset also makes them unpredictable. They don't react to threats the way people expect. You can't blackmail them with social consequences because they don't care about fitting in. You can't pressure them with financial ruin because they'll find a way to adapt. You can't manipulate them with emotional ties because they've already learned how to detach when necessary. When someone fights with nothing to lose, they fight differently. They don't hold back, they don't fear consequences, and they don't break under pressure. That's why Sigmas are some of the most formidable opponents. While everyone else is afraid of falling, they've already hit the ground and learned how to keep walking. Number 4, they weaponize information instead of strength. Power isn't about who can hit the hardest. It's about who knows where to strike. While most people rely on brute force, status, or intimidation, Sigma males operate differently. They don't need to be the loudest or the strongest in the room because they have something far more lethal: information. Sigmas study people the way a surgeon studies anatomy, with precision and purpose. They observe habits, weaknesses, insecurities, and blind spots. They pick up on what makes people tick, what they fear, what motivates them, and what they desperately try to hide. And when the time comes, they use that knowledge like a blade, silent, sharp, and impossible to defend against. Unlike alphas who rely on dominance or betas who follow the crowd, Sigmas control situations without anyone realizing they're in control. They don't threaten or intimidate. They plant the right seed, ask the right question, or expose just enough truth to make people react exactly how they want. With a single, well-placed piece of information, they can break alliances, shift power dynamics, or dismantle someone's confidence without ever lifting a finger. This makes them incredibly dangerous because their strength isn't something you can see or prepare for. You can train to fight a physical battle, but how do you defend against someone who already knows what you fear most? How do you beat someone who understands you better than you understand yourself? The answer is, you don't. By the time a Sigma strikes, the damage is already done. Their enemies aren't just defeated, they're disoriented, doubting themselves and wondering how everything fell apart so quickly. Because while others waste time flexing their muscles, Sigmas do something far more powerful. They think, they learn, and they strike only when it truly matters. Number 5. They are not bound by ideologies or beliefs. Most people are trapped by ideology. Whether it's religion, politics, or cultural expectations, they shape their entire lives around beliefs they didn't even choose for themselves. They fight battles that aren't theirs, defend systems that don't serve them, and stay loyal to ideas that limit them. Sigma males don't make that mistake. A Sigma doesn't pledge allegiance to anything unless it benefits him. He isn't bound by tradition, peer pressure, or the need to belong. While others blindly follow rules written by people they'll never meet, Sigmas question everything. They take what's useful, discard what isn't, and move through life unchained. This makes them unpredictable and dangerous. You can't manipulate a Sigma by appealing to his duty or obligation, because he doesn't see himself as part of a collective. You can't pressure him with guilt, shame, or social consequences because he doesn't care about fitting in. You can't make him angry by attacking his beliefs because he doesn't have any sacred cows. He doesn't follow a cause, he follows results. This level of detachment gives Sigmas a terrifying advantage. While others are busy defending their identities, Sigmas remain focused on reality. They don't waste time arguing over abstract ideas or proving loyalty to a side. They analyze, adapt, and move forward, never wasting energy on emotional battles that lead nowhere. It's this mindset that allows them to navigate the world with total freedom. They can blend into different groups without getting attached. They can switch strategies without feeling conflicted. They can make cold, logical decisions while others are paralyzed by personal bias. Where most people are ruled by belief, Sigmas are ruled by results. And that's why they're so dangerous. In a world full of people shackled by ideology, a man who thinks purely in terms of advantage and consequence isn't just powerful, he's unstoppable. Number 6. They can destroy without making a sound. Powerful people love to be seen. Alphas flex their dominance, make their victories public, and demand recognition for every battle they win. But Sigma males don't play that game. They don't need applause, credit, or validation. They prefer to win quietly, efficiently, and without leaving a trace. When a Sigma decides to take action, there's no grand confrontation, no loud declarations, no drawn-out war. They study, plan, and execute in silence while their target is still busy underestimating them. By the time the damage is done, the enemy doesn't even know where the attack came from. Or worse, they don't realize they've already lost. Sigmas are dangerous because they dismantle people and systems without ever making themselves a target. They let others waste energy on drama and ego-driven fights while they operate behind the scenes, pulling strings and setting up moves that no one sees coming. They don't swing blindly or act on impulse. They strike only when they know it will count. This ability makes them nearly impossible to stop. You can't fight back against someone you can't see. You can't defend yourself against a threat you didn't even realize was there. While an alpha might crush an opponent through brute force, a Sigma makes sure his enemies defeat themselves. Whether it's by exposing a weakness, letting them self-destruct, or quietly removing key support structures until everything collapses. And the most unsettling part, Sigmas never stick around to gloat. There's no satisfaction in watching someone fall because the victory was never about ego, it was about efficiency. By the time people start looking for the person responsible, the Sigma is already gone, moving on to his next objective, untouched and undefeated. That's why they're so dangerous. They don't just win, they erase any trace that they were ever involved. Number 7. They don't follow the rules of power. Power, for most people, is a rigid game with clear rules. Alphas fight to stay on top, using dominance and status to control others. Betas accept their place in the hierarchy, following orders and seeking approval. But Sigma males? They don't play by those rules at all. Sigmas aren't interested in proving dominance, leading a pack, or obeying any social order. They see power for what it really is, a construct, a system designed to keep people predictable. And because they don't buy into it, they know exactly how to break it. While others are busy climbing the social ladder, Sigmas are studying the structure itself. They see the cracks, the weaknesses, the blind spots everyone else ignores. They understand that real power isn't about position, it's about control. And sometimes the best way to take control isn't by rising through the ranks, but by knocking the whole structure down. This makes them incredibly dangerous. You can't force a Sigma to submit using traditional authority because they don't recognize it as legitimate. You can't trap them in social expectations because they simply walk away. And you can't predict their moves because they don't follow the usual playbook. They create their own rules as they go. This mindset allows them to upend entire systems without warning. They don't challenge authority head-on like an alpha. They undermine it from the shadows, exposing its flaws, turning its own people against it, and watching it collapse from within. While alphas rely on dominance and betas rely on obedience, Sigmas rely on intelligence, adaptability, and a ruthless understanding of human nature. That's why they're so feared by those in power. You can't control what doesn't seek control, and you can't predict what refuses to follow a pattern. By the time people realize a Sigma has dismantled the system they relied on, it's already too late. The game has changed, the old rules don't apply, and the Sigma is already 3 steps ahead. Number 8. They are ghosts in a world obsessed with visibility. The modern world runs on visibility. Everyone is trying to be seen, heard, and recognized. People broadcast their thoughts, flaunt their achievements, and fight for attention like it's the ultimate currency. But Sigma males? They operate in the exact opposite way. While society is busy shouting, Sigmas stay silent. While everyone else fights to be in the spotlight, they disappear into the background, unnoticed, but fully aware of everything happening around them. They aren't interested in fame, validation, or recognition. They care about control. And real control doesn't come from being the loudest in the room. It comes from knowing what no one else does. Sigmas watch people expose themselves. They see the weaknesses hidden behind confidence, the insecurities buried under bravado, and the patterns that everyone else is too distracted to notice. They collect information without anyone realizing it, and when they decide to make a move, no one sees it coming. That's what makes them so dangerous. You can't fight what you don't see. You can't defend yourself against someone who isn't even on your radar. While others are busy showing off their strength, Sigmas are quietly positioning themselves in ways that make direct confrontation unnecessary. They don't need to announce their presence because by the time you realize they were there, they're already gone, and they've already won. This ability makes them almost untouchable. While others exhaust themselves trying to maintain relevance, Sigmas move freely, unnoticed, and unrestricted. They slip in and out of situations without leaving a trace, striking only when it benefits them, never before. That's why they're so feared by those who understand them. In a world obsessed with visibility, the true masters of power are the ones you never even notice, until it's too late. Number 9. They are more patient than their enemies. Most people are impatient. They want quick victories, immediate results, and instant gratification. They make rash decisions, react emotionally, and exhaust themselves trying to force things to happen. That's why they lose. Sigma males, on the other hand, know that real power belongs to those who can wait. Sigmas don't act out of impulse. They don't let emotions cloud their judgment or rush into battles that aren't worth their time. They observe, calculate, and wait. If it takes months, years, or even decades to get what they want, so be it. They aren't in a hurry, because they know patience is a weapon most people don't have. Their enemies, however, burn themselves out. The arrogant ones make mistakes because they're too eager to win. The emotional ones expose their weaknesses because they can't control themselves. The desperate ones lose everything because they don't know how to pace themselves. Meanwhile, the Sigma watches it all unfold, knowing that time is on his side. When he does strike, it's never out of anger or desperation. It's precise, calculated, and unavoidable. By then, his enemies are already weakened, tired, and vulnerable. They've spent all their energy fighting the wrong battles, chasing the wrong targets, and underestimating the one person who never seemed like a threat until it was too late. That's why Sigmas are so dangerous. You can fight someone who meets you head-on, but how do you fight someone who's been silently dismantling you for years? How do you win against a man who's willing to wait as long as it takes? You don't, because by the time you realize what's happening, he's already won. Number 10. They can be merciless without regret. Most people hesitate when it comes to taking ruthless action. They worry about morality, consequences, and how others will perceive them. Sigma males don't. They aren't bound by guilt, emotion, or the need for social approval. If something or someone is in their way, they remove the obstacle. No theatrics, no drawn-out conflict, just a clean, calculated resolution. This isn't recklessness or cruelty. Sigmas aren't mindless aggressors, nor do they seek destruction for its own sake. They simply act with brutal efficiency. If you pose a threat to their plans, waste their time, or attempt to manipulate them, they don't argue, beg, or try to change your mind. They cut ties, walk away, or if necessary, ensure you are no longer a factor. The scariest part? They don't feel regret. While others struggle with conscience or second-guess their decisions, Sigmas have already moved on. They don't dwell on the past because they operate on a simple principle. What's done is done. If eliminating a problem was the best option, then there was never any other choice to begin with. This ability makes them incredibly dangerous. You can't guilt-trip them into reversing a decision. You can't appeal to their emotions because they don't let emotions dictate their actions. And you can't predict how far they're willing to go because, unlike most people, they aren't afraid to go all the way. Most people fight with hesitation, fearing consequences and struggling with doubt. Sigmas don't. When they decide a course of action, they follow through with precision, detachment, and unwavering focus. That's what makes them terrifying opponents. They don't just act, they eliminate. And once it's over, it's like you never existed. Number 11. They learn the rules only to break them better. Most people either follow the rules blindly or rebel against them without understanding them. Both approaches are predictable, and predictability is a weakness. Sigma males take a different route. They learn the rules better than anyone else, not to obey them, but to break them in ways no one expects. Sigmas don't challenge authority head-on like an alpha, nor do they submit like a beta. Instead, they study the system from the inside out. They learn the laws, the loopholes, and the hidden mechanics that keep everything running. They analyze social structures, unspoken power dynamics, and the ways people are controlled, not to conform, but to find the cracks, bend the rules, and manipulate the system to their advantage. This makes them incredibly dangerous because they don't break rules impulsively. They break them with precision. They know how to operate in the shadows, staying just inside the boundaries of what's acceptable while getting away with things others wouldn't dare to attempt. They can bypass obstacles legally, exploit technicalities, and bend systems in ways that leave no trace. And when a rule is truly in their way, they find a way to make it irrelevant. Unlike reckless rule breakers who get caught because they act without strategy, Sigmas are patient. They gather knowledge before making a move. They anticipate consequences and prepare escape routes before anyone even realizes what's happening. By the time people catch on, the Sigma has already rewritten the game. That's why Sigmas are feared by those in power. They aren't loud revolutionaries demanding change. They're the quiet architects of disruption. They don't just ignore the system, they master it, manipulate it, and, when necessary, burn it down from within. In a world obsessed with labels, dominance, and hierarchies, Sigma males remain the ultimate outliers, unpredictable, ungoverned, and dangerously effective. They don't fight for control like alphas, nor do they submit like betas. They move in silence, strike with precision, and vanish without a trace. What makes them truly dangerous isn't just their intelligence, patience, or ability to operate outside the rules. It's their complete detachment from the things that control most people: fear, ego, and the need for validation. They cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or forced into submission because they simply don't care about the things that keep others in check. By the time you realize a Sigma was even in the game, he's already won and walked away. By the time you understand his strategy, he's already 3 steps ahead. And by the time the world catches up to what he's done, he's long gone, untouchable, and completely indifferent to the chaos he may have left behind. That's why Sigma males are more dangerous than you think. They don't follow the game, they rewrite it. If you found this breakdown of the Sigma mindset as eye-opening as we think you did, don't just sit there, take action. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss content that challenges the way you see power, influence, and the unseen forces that shape the world. Drop a comment below and tell us which Sigma trait you think is the most dangerous, or if you've ever encountered one in real life. And don't forget to like this video if you want more deep, no-nonsense analysis like this. Lastly, share this with someone who thinks they understand power, because trust us, they probably don't. Stay sharp, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.